Hi there, my name is Tyrant44, and today I'm showing off this fully functional Dance Dance Revolution machine that I made. It supports up to 2 players, has 4 different modes of difficulty to choose from, and works in both Java and Bedrock editions. And considering everything that it does, it's pretty compact and not very resource intensive, so it's relatively easy to build in survival. To play, stand on one of the dance pads, and then grab any disc you want from the shulker box and put it into the jukebox. And then I like to play in F5 mode. And then it's literally just Dance Dance Revolution. When the lights reach the line of sea lanterns at the bottom, you have to step on the corresponding direction pads to score points. You have to do it while the light is active. If you go too early or too late, it won't count. When you score a point, you'll see a pulse of light head towards your score display, and then your score display will gradually fill up. Up here, there's a difficulty slider. You can set it to 4 different levels, but I'm going to set it right to Insane. And now you can see that the lights are moving a lot faster, and the window of time to step on them is also a lot shorter, so it's quite a bit harder. Here's a list of the speeds of the 4 different difficulties. And when the song ends, the lights will stop. There'll be a few seconds of ending lag, but it's pretty close. So the score display gives you an indication as to what your score is, but to see your exact score, you can look in this hopper down here. And then over in this shulker, you can see what the maximum possible score was. So you can do a little bit of math and figure out the percentage that you hit. And then you hit this button to reset everything, and the lights will start draining, and so will the maximum possible score. And then after a few seconds, you'll hear a chime, and you'll know everything's reset. Also, when the song finishes, the music disc will end up right back in the shulker. The machine will work for all 19 music discs, and any more that get added in the future. Also, in the new 1.21 update, jukeboxes are now data-driven. This means that it's very easy to upload your own custom audio, and any item can be turned into a music disc. So this is actually my 4th version of Dance Dance Revolution. In fact, my first version is from over 5 years ago, and it's actually the project that got me into doing Redstone. And you can see just how much more compact the Redstone has gotten from the first version. Now, one of the reasons for this is due to a change in how jukeboxes work as of Minecraft version 1.19.4. Prior to this, jukeboxes could only be read with Redstone using a comparator, and each disc would have its own unique signal strength. However, the comparator continues to output a Redstone signal even when the music disc finishes playing. As of 1.19.4, that is still true, but now jukeboxes act as a power source themselves while a music disc is playing. And they turn off when the disc finishes. This means that in the newest version, the jukebox can activate the machine while the song is playing, and turn off when the song is done. However, in the older versions, I had to pull a signal from the jukebox using a comparator, and then transfer that signal down, which would activate a specific hopper timer based on the signal strength of the music disc, and then each timer was set to the length of its corresponding song. What was nice about this is that you could set the time perfectly and avoid any ending lag. But the change was necessary, because now that we have more music discs than power levels, multiple music discs share the same power level, but they don't all have the same playtime, and the new version doesn't need to be updated every time a new disc is added. So, taking a look at the Redstone now. When you put a disc into the jukebox, that powers the hopper below it, which gets detected by an observer and then triggers a T flip-flop, which outputs a signal with this comparator. And that activates this comparator clock right here, which pulses this dropper, which is a two-way randomizer, and that feeds into two more two-way randomizers, which generates a random pattern of the 4 different directions. Now the difficulty slider adjusts the speed of the clock using signal strengths. A comparator reads the rotation of the item in the item frame, and then brings that signal down to this redstone dust right here. On easy mode, the strength is 2, and the clock is slower because it drains from a maximum signal strength of 13 here. But if we set it to insane, now the signal strength here is 8, and the clock is running a lot faster because it feeds into this comparator in subtract mode, and it drains from a maximum signal strength of 7. So, when the randomizer selects the inputs, it sends the signals up through these 4 torch towers here. And then at the top of the torch towers are droppers containing about a stack of items each. When they get activated, the item spits into this hopper, and then travels down this chain of hoppers and chests to the bottom. The movement is very stop and go, because the hoppers between the chests are repeatedly locked and unlocked by the comparator clock. This means that the comparator clock also controls the falling speed of the lights. And at each stop along the way, a comparator detects the item in the chest and lights up the display lamps. Now, when the items reach the bottom chests, they get sent back up to the top using these dropper towers. And the dropper towers are powered by the exact same torch towers that give the inputs. There will always be a few items somewhere along the tower, but it always maintains about 58 to 60 at the top dropper. At the very bottom row, the comparators also activate these redstone dusts, which send a signal towards the dance pads and unlock a comparator corresponding to the specific direction, so that when you step on the direction pad, the pulse can go through and score a point. When you step on the direction pad, it will power this dropper, which sends the item into this hopper to be read by the comparator, and then goes right back into the dropper. This way, it's a pulse rather than a constant signal when you step on the pressure plates. Now, because iron pressure plates only output a signal strength of 1 when one player is standing on them, I had to do this double repeater thing to make sure that both pressure plates could activate the dropper. It would actually be a lot simpler if I just used stone or wood pressure plates, but I like the way these look better. When you activate the pressure plates at the right time, the pulse will go through and get sent toward the score display. And that sends the items from this dropper up into this hopper here. And then a comparator output from that hopper fills up the lights on the score display. Also, every time a light reaches the bottom row, it activates this dropper down here, which sends an item up into the shulker here to show the max possible score. When the song ends, this hopper will pull the disc out of the jukebox, which was also a feature added in 1.19.4. It'll then send it into this dropper, which will send it back into the shulker box. And then the T flip-flop will also turn off. Then there's this short delay timer, which will clear the last remaining lights from the display, but no new inputs will happen because all of the droppers at the top are locked in the on state as soon as the T flip-flop turns off. And finally, when you hit the reset button, it pushes hopper minecarts under the max score shulker and both score displays to clear the items. And it drains the scores really fast because hopper minecarts pull items at 8 times the speed as regular hoppers. And after a set amount of time, the pistons with the hopper minecarts will retract. Now, one of the things that makes this work is an observer detecting the hopper that feeds the items into the max score shulker, which gets triggered when you push the reset button. I think it's super cool that the same redstone component can be used for 2 separate circuits and they don't interfere with each other. And that feeds into this observer chain, which leads into this hopper timer, which controls how long the pistons stay extended for. And you can play with the timings, but I set it to this amount of items, which should fully reset the system after just about every song. Though you will have to hit the button twice if you play the song blocks at hard or insane difficulties. It's almost 6 minutes long, so it generates a lot of inputs. Also, you have to use items that stack to 16 like ender pearls. And make sure to fill this hopper with the exact same amount of items. And that pretty much sums it up for the Redstone. I've included world downloads for both Java and Bedrock in the description that include both the DDR machine and the Redstone only version. The Bedrock Edition version has a few necessary modifications. In the Redstone only version, I've also added some signs where you need to fill inventory blocks, which might help if you're using schematics. I've also included my previous 3 versions and some lecterns with version history notes in case you're interested. And in case you're playing a version earlier than 1.19.4, DDR version 3 is still pretty good, and includes all of the same features and is still pretty compact. Anyway, I just ask that you leave a like on the video if you use the design, or if you enjoyed the video. And if you like minigames, go check out some of my other designs. I've linked a playlist down in the description. And subscribe for more Redstone content. Thanks for watching.